The council chamber stretched wide and tall, filled with beings from across the galaxy. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few glowed with their own light. At the far end of the massive room, Ambassador Hana Lee stood at the human podium. Her dark suit looked plain compared to the colorful robes and armor worn by other species. She kept her face calm, even though her heart was racing. "We request again that the council investigate the attacks on our colonies," Hana said. Her voice was steady and polite. "3 settlements have been raided in the past month. Our people were hurt. Resources were stolen." A deep laugh echoed through the chamber. Thokmar, the Vraxian commander, leaned forward in his seat. His species looked like giant lizards covered in metal plates. He was twice as tall as any human, and his teeth were as long as fingers. "Attacks?" Thokmar said, still laughing. "The humans cry about attacks. Perhaps if your kind was stronger, others would not take what they want from you." More laughter filled the room. Hana felt her hands shake, but she kept them behind her back where no one could see. She had done this job for 10 years now. 10 years of smiling while others mocked her people. 10 years of being polite while humanity was pushed around. "We are not asking for war," Hana continued. "We are asking for justice. The Galactic Council has laws. Those laws were broken." The council leader, a floating creature made of purple gas, spoke in a voice like wind through caves. "The council will consider your request, as always. You may sit down, Ambassador." Hana knew what that meant. It meant nothing would happen. It meant the same thing it always meant. She bowed her head respectfully and returned to her seat. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Taman Park sat in his ship's command chair. The Gentle Dawn was a diplomatic vessel, not built for fighting. It was comfortable and fast, designed to carry ambassadors and messages between worlds. Taman had commanded it for 5 years without firing a single weapon. "Captain," his communication officer called out, "we have a message from Colony Kepler 442b. They're reporting another incident." Taman closed his eyes for a moment. Another incident. That was the word they always used. Not attack, not raid, not invasion. Incident. As if their people being hurt was just an accident, just bad luck. "What happened?" he asked. Vraxian ships landed without permission. They took food supplies and mining equipment. When the colonists protested, 3 people were injured. 1 is in critical condition. Taman's jaw tightened. "Send a report to Earth Command and to Ambassador Lee. Follow standard protocols." "Yes, sir. Standard protocols." Those words tasted bitter in Taman's mouth. Standard protocols meant they would file a complaint. They would be polite. They would ask nicely for the Vraxians to stop. And nothing would change. His sister Yuna, who served as a junior officer on the ship, approached his chair. She kept her voice quiet so only he could hear. "How long are we going to keep doing this?" "As long as Earth tells us to," Taman replied. "They're killing us, brother. Slowly, 1 colony at a time. And we just smile and file reports." Taman looked at her. He saw the frustration in her eyes. He felt it too, burning in his chest like a fire he couldn't let out. "I know." Back on Earth, in a deep underground facility that nobody talked about, General Jiwon Kim walked through corridors that hummed with power. The walls were lined with screens showing data, charts, and maps. Soldiers moved with purpose, their faces serious. Jiwon entered a secure conference room where 5 other high-ranking officers waited. The door sealed behind him with a hiss. "Another colony hit," Jiwon said without greeting. "That makes 12 this year." "The council did nothing again?" asked Admiral Minho Kang. "The council never does anything," Jiwon replied. He sat down heavily. "They think we're weak. They think politeness means we can't fight." "We could show them different," said Colonel Yunji Nam. Her eyes were hard. "One display of force. That's all it would take." "And start a war we were trying to avoid for 50 years? Jiwon shook his head. "Earth's leaders want to maintain peace. At what cost?" Yunji demanded. "How many of our people have to die before we stop being polite?" Minho Kang raised his hand for silence. As the oldest officer present, his word carried weight. "We all feel the same anger, but we follow orders. We wait, we prepare. When the time comes, and it will come, we'll be ready." Jiwon nodded slowly. "Keep all facilities at readiness level 3. Continue training rotations, and for God's sake, keep everything hidden. If the galaxy knew what we actually have down here..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Everyone in that room knew the truth. They all knew what humanity had been building for decades. They all knew that the small defense force they showed the galaxy was just a tiny piece of something much bigger. On Colony World New Seoul, Doyon Han was working in his fields when the ships appeared. They came down fast, landing in clouds of dust. Doyon grabbed his daughter's hand and started running toward their house. "Daddy, what's wrong?" she asked. "Just run, sweetheart, run." The Vraxian soldiers were fast despite their size. They surrounded Doyon's farm before he reached the door. One of them grabbed his daughter, pulling her away from him. "No," Doyon shouted. He did something desperate. He fought back. He punched the Vraxian soldier, even though the creature's armor was harder than stone. His hand broke, but he didn't care. The Vraxian commander looked down at him with something like amusement. "Brave little human," it said. Then it struck Doyon across the face with the back of its massive hand. Doyon died 3 hours later in the Colony Medical Center. His daughter sat beside his bed holding his broken hand and crying. She would remember this day for the rest of her life. When news of Doyon's death reached the Galactic Council, they issued a statement calling it regrettable. They said both sides should show restraint. They suggested the colonists should be more cooperative with visiting species. Ambassador Hannah Lee read the statement in her quarters. She read it 3 times, each time feeling something crack a little more inside her chest. Then she sent an encrypted message to Earth, just 5 words. "How much longer must we endure?" In the underground facility, General Ji-won Kim received the message. He stood in front of a massive window that looked down on rows and rows of ships. Ships that no one outside Earth knew existed. Ships that could cross the galaxy in days instead of weeks. Ships with weapons that made Vraxian technology look like toys from ancient history. He touched the glass with one hand and whispered to himself, "Soon, Hannah. Very soon." Commander Soman Choi stood on the observation deck of her colony station, watching the sun rise over Kepler 442b. It should have been beautiful. The sky turned orange and pink, and the 2 moons were still visible on the horizon. But Somin couldn't enjoy it. She was too busy counting the damages from last night's raid. 6 warehouses hit, her second officer reported. They took medical supplies this time. Also destroyed 2 transport vehicles just for fun, it looks like. "Casualties?" Soman asked, though she was afraid of the answer. 4 injured, 1 serious. A young man tried to stop them from taking the hospital supplies. They beat him badly. Soman closed her eyes. Which species this time? "Vraxian again. 3rd time this month." "Of course it is," Soman muttered. She turned away from the window. "And I suppose we'll file another report that goes nowhere?" Her officer didn't answer. He didn't need to. They both knew the truth. The galaxy had learned a dangerous lesson over the past 50 years. Humans don't fight back. Humans are polite. Humans can be pushed around without consequences. Across the colony, a scientist named Dr. Hyunwoo Yang was finishing his research paper. He had spent 3 years studying how other species viewed humanity. His findings were disturbing. The paper was titled "Patterns of Predation: Why Humanity Has Become the Galaxy's Preferred Victim." Hyunwoo had analyzed over 2,000 incidents of attacks, thefts, and assaults on human colonies and ships. The numbers showed a clear trend. Attacks on humans had increased by 300% in the last 10 years. The reason was simple. Other species had learned that humans were easy targets. They were polite. They filed complaints instead of fighting. They asked for justice instead of taking revenge. To many alien species, this looked like weakness. And in the galaxy, weakness was something to exploit. Hyunwoo sent his paper to Earth Command with a note attached. "We have taught the galaxy that we are prey. Unless something changes, this will only get worse." On Earth, government officials met in secret to debate the situation. President Kim Sera sat at the head of a long table surrounded by advisors, military leaders, and diplomats. "The attacks are becoming bolder," said General Ji-won Kim. "They used to hit small remote colonies. Now they're targeting major settlements. They're not even hiding it anymore." "What do you recommend?" President Kim asked. "Let us respond with force just once. Show them what we're capable of." "And start a war?" said one of the diplomatic advisors. "We've worked for 50 years to build peace in this galaxy. One military response could throw all of that away." "What peace?" Ji-won's voice rose. "Our people are dying. They're being robbed, beaten, and killed. And we do nothing." "What kind of peace is that?" President Kim raised her hand for silence. "I understand your frustration, General. I feel it too. But we can't make this decision lightly. If we reveal our true military strength, everything changes. The entire galaxy will see us differently. Maybe it's time they did, G1 said quietly. In another part of Earth, in a small apartment, Borahan was packing her brother's belongings. Doyen had been dead for 2 weeks now. His daughter, her niece, was staying with relatives. Bora held up one of his shirts and pressed it to her face, trying to smell him one more time. Her communication device beeped. It was a message from the Galactic Council. She opened it, hoping for news of justice. Instead, she found a formal statement. It said the council had investigated her brother's death. It said both parties were at fault. It said the matter was now closed. Bora sat down on the floor and cried. Not just for her brother, but for all of humanity. They were being killed one by one, and the galaxy didn't care. Worse than that, the galaxy thought they deserved it for being weak. She made a decision in that moment. She would become a voice for all the victims. She would make sure their deaths weren't forgotten. She would tell their stories until someone, somewhere, finally listened. Commander Soman Choi sent another desperate message to Earth Command. This one was more direct than her previous requests. We have weapons in storage, she wrote. We have trained soldiers. We have defense systems that are better than what most alien species use, but we're ordered not to use them. We're ordered to be polite while our people die. I'm asking permission to defend my colony properly, please. The response came back within hours. Permission denied. Maintain current protocols. Continue diplomatic approach. Soman read the message 3 times. Then she threw her communication device across the room. It shattered against the wall. They're letting us die, she said to her empty office. They're just letting us die. What Soman didn't know, what almost no one knew, was that Earth's leaders were tracking every incident. They were recording every attack, every theft, every death. They were building a case, collecting evidence. They were also building something else. On the far side of Earth's moon, hidden in massive craters, construction had been going on for 30 years. Shipyards that could build vessels faster than any alien factory, training facilities where soldiers practiced tactics that no other species had seen, weapon testing ranges where new technology was perfected. Admiral Minho Kang walked through one of these facilities. Beside him, a young pilot named Jin Woo Song was getting ready for a test flight. How does she handle? Minho asked. Like a dream, sir, Jin Woo replied. He patted the side of his fighter craft. It was sleek and black, almost invisible against space. These ships are incredible. I've never flown anything so responsive. Good, Minho said. When the time comes, we'll need every advantage we can get. Do you really think that time is coming, sir? Minho looked at the young pilot. Son, that time is already here. We're just waiting for the right moment to show the galaxy what we really are. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador Hana Lee was presenting another report. Another list of attacks, another plea for help. The chamber was half empty. Most council members didn't even bother showing up for human complaints anymore. Thokmar, the Vraxian commander, was there, though. He seemed to enjoy watching the humans beg. 12 colonies attacked, Hana said. Her voice was steady, but inside she was screaming. 47 dead. Hundreds injured. Millions in stolen resources. We are asking the council to take action. Perhaps, Thokmar said lazily, humans should learn to defend themselves. The galaxy is a dangerous place. The weak are always taken advantage of. Other council members nodded in agreement. Some even laughed quietly. Hana continued as if he hadn't spoken. We are also requesting that the council enforce its own laws regarding unprovoked attacks on member species. The council leader, the floating purple gas creature, sighed. Its voice was bored. The council will review your request again. You may be seated, Ambassador. Hana sat down. She noticed her hands were shaking. She had been doing this job for so long, being polite for so long, and it was breaking something inside her. She wondered how much longer she could keep smiling while her people died. That night, she sent another encrypted message to Earth. This one was longer than before. I don't know how much more I can take, she wrote. Every day I stand in that chamber and beg for scraps of justice. Every day they laugh at us. They think we're weak. They think we're nothing. Maybe they're right. Maybe we are weak for not fighting back. I know there must be a reason for this strategy. I trust our leaders. But please tell me it will end soon. Tell me this sacrifice means something. General Ji-won Kim read her message in his underground office. He wrote back immediately. Hold on, Hana, just a little longer. What you're doing is important. Your sacrifice and the sacrifice of all our people is not for nothing. Soon, very soon, the galaxy will understand. They will learn that we weren't weak. We were patient. There's a difference. Stay strong. In space, Captain Taman Park was responding to another distress call. A human transport ship had been attacked by pirates. The crew was alive, but the ship was badly damaged. Taman's vessel arrived to help, but the pirates were long gone. As they rescued the transport crew, Taman's sister Yuna came to stand beside him. "This is the 7th attack we've responded to this month," she said quietly. "Brother, when do we stop rescuing and start fighting?" Taman looked at the damaged transport ship through the viewscreen. "I ask myself that question every day. And what answer do you find? That I'm a soldier who follows orders. Even when those orders break my heart." Yuna put her hand on his shoulder. "We're all breaking, Taman, all of us. Something has to change." She was right. And somewhere deep in Earth's hidden facilities, change was preparing itself. Waiting. Getting ready. The galaxy didn't know it yet. But humanity's patience was almost at its end. The warning came too late. By the time Commander Somin Choi received the message about Vraxian ships approaching New Sol, the attack had already begun. New Sol was humanity's largest colony outside Earth. 200,000 people lived there. They had schools and hospitals, parks and museums. Families had built lives there. Children had been born there. It was home. The Vraxian fleet came down like a hammer. 50 ships, more than had ever attacked a human colony before. They didn't land to steal supplies this time. They simply opened fire. Commander Somin watched the video feed from her station on Kepler 442b and felt her blood turn to ice. Buildings exploded. Streets burned. People ran screaming through smoke and fire. The Vraxians weren't raiding. They were destroying. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would they do this?" Her communication officer had the answer. He pulled up a transmission from the Vraxian commander leading the attack. The message had been broadcast across the entire galaxy. "This is a compliance operation," the Vraxian commander announced. "The humans of New Sol refused to provide resources we demanded. They said no to the Vraxian Empire. This is what happens when weak species forget their place. Let all humans see this and learn." The attack lasted 3 hours. When the Vraxian ships finally left, 40,000 people were dead. 40,000. The number was so large it didn't feel real. On Earth, President Kim Sera sat in the Emergency Command Center, watching the same footage that everyone else in the galaxy was seeing. Her face was pale. Her hands gripped the edge of the table so hard her knuckles turned white. "Get me Ambassador Lee," she said quietly, "and activate Protocol 7. Around her, military leaders exchanged glances. Protocol 7. Those words hadn't been spoken in 50 years. Everyone knew what they meant. General Ji-won Kim stood up. "Are you certain, Madam President? They killed 40,000 of our people, Ji-won. They did it on purpose. They did it as a lesson." She turned to look at him, and her eyes were filled with something hard and cold. "I'm certain." In the Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador Hana Lee stood at the human podium once again. But this time was different. The chamber was completely full. Every species had sent representatives. They all wanted to see how the humans would respond to this. Tokmar sat in his seat looking pleased with himself. The attack on New Sol had been his idea. He wanted to teach the humans their place once and for all. Hana walked slowly to the podium. She carried no datapad, no notes, no evidence to present. She simply stood there and looked at the council members. She looked at each one, letting her eyes move from face to face, from species to species. The silence stretched. 10 seconds, 20, 30. The council members began to shift uncomfortably. Some whispered to each other. What was the human doing? Why wasn't she speaking? A full minute passed. Hana had still not said a single word. She just stood there looking at them with eyes that had gone very cold. Finally she moved. She reached up and unpinned the ambassador's insignia from her collar. She held it in her hand for a moment, looking at it. Then she set it carefully on the podium. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, but it carried through the entire chamber. Humanity is withdrawing from the Galactic Council. Effective immediately. You will understand why very soon. She turned and walked out. She didn't bow. She didn't ask permission to leave. She just walked away. The council chamber erupted in confused chatter. What did that mean? Were the humans giving up? Were they surrendering? Most species thought this was exactly what it looked like. The humans had finally realized they were too weak to exist among the stronger races. They were going home to hide on Earth. Thokmar laughed loudly. The humans run away. Like I said, they are weak. The Vraxian Empire has taught them their final lesson. But some species weren't so sure. A few of the older members, races that had been in the galaxy longer than the Vraxians, watched Hanali leave with worried expressions. There was something about the way she had stood there. Something about the coldness in her eyes. It reminded them of something dangerous. Something waiting. On Earth, Admiral Minho Kang stood in the main control room of the lunar military base. Around him, hundreds of officers and soldiers waited at their stations. Every screen showed status reports. Every system showed green. Ready, Minho pressed a button on his communication panel. All units, this is command. Protocol 7 is active. I repeat, Protocol 7 is active. Release the seals. Across Earth, Mars, and the lunar surface, massive doors began to open. Doors that had been hidden for decades, disguised as natural rock formations or civilian structures. From these doors, ships began to emerge. They were beautiful and terrible, sleek black vessels that seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it. They moved with impossible grace, accelerating from standstill to incredible speeds in seconds. There were thousands of them, fighters, destroyers, carriers, battleships, an entire fleet that no one had known existed. On the civilian news networks, people stopped what they were doing to watch. The governments had stopped hiding the truth. Everyone needed to see this. Everyone needed to understand what was about to happen. Captain Taman Park stood on the bridge of his new ship. It wasn't the Gentle Dawn anymore. That comfortable diplomatic vessel was back on Earth. Now he commanded the Reckoning, a battleship that made Vraxian warships look like children's toys. His sister Yuna stood beside him as tactical officer. Around them, the crew worked with calm efficiency. These were people who had trained in secret for years. They had waited so long for this moment. Sir, the communication officer said, we're receiving connection requests from over 100 alien news networks. They want to know what's happening. Open a channel, Taman said. Broadcast to everyone. The channel opened. Taman knew that across the galaxy, billions of beings were watching. Good. They needed to see this. This is Captain Taman Park of the Earth Defense Forces. For 50 years, humanity has been part of the Galactic Council. For 50 years, we have followed the laws. We have been peaceful. We have been diplomatic. We have been polite. He paused, letting his words sink in. Many of you mistook that politeness for weakness. You thought because we didn't fight back, we couldn't fight back. You were wrong. On the view screen behind him, the Earth fleet was fully visible now. Thousands of advanced warships waiting in perfect formation. We weren't weak, Taman continued. We were being polite. We believed in peace. We believed in the Council. We believed that if we showed restraint, others would respect us. His voice hardened. You mistook restraint for inability. You mistook patience for fear. You killed our people because you thought we couldn't stop you. In the Galactic Council chamber, species representatives watched the broadcast in growing horror. That was a fleet. A massive, advanced fleet. Where had it come from? How long had the humans been building it? The attack on New Sol was your final mistake, Taman said. You killed 40,000 civilians as a lesson. Now we will teach you a lesson. We will show you what we are truly capable of. We will show you what we have been holding back all these years. Thokmar stood up in the council chamber, roaring with anger. The humans threaten us. The Vraxian Empire is not afraid. Send our fleet. Destroy them! But some of the older council members were backing away, moving toward the exits. They had seen fleets before. They understood technology. What the humans were showing on their screens was more advanced than anything they had ever seen. This wasn't going to be a battle. This was going to be a demonstration. Admiral Minho Kang gave the order from Earth Command. Fleet, you are authorized to move. Protect our colonies. Respond to any threats. Show them who we really are. The human fleet began to move. They didn't rush. They didn't scramble. They simply accelerated with perfect precision, spreading out across the galaxy like a wave of darkness. Pilot Jin Woo-song sat in his fighter craft, feeling it respond to his thoughts almost faster than he could think them. Around him, thousands of other fighters moved in perfect coordination. For 50 years they had been told to hide, to pretend to be weak, to let others push them around. Not anymore. On Colony World Kepler 442b, Commander Somin Choi watched human warships arrive in her system. Ships that had appeared out of nowhere, that moved faster than anything she'd ever seen. She sat down slowly in her chair and started to laugh. She laughed until tears ran down her face. They weren't weak. They had never been weak. Earth had been protecting them all along by hiding the truth. And now finally the truth was coming out. Across the galaxy, humanity's message was received clearly. The gentle giants weren't so gentle anymore, and everyone was about to learn what happened when you pushed peaceful people too far. Thokmar watched the human fleet approaching on his command ship's view screen and laughed. He laughed so hard his metal plates rattled. Around him, his officers joined in. "Look at them," he said. "They think their new ships frighten us? The Vraxian Empire has conquered 20 star systems. We have crushed species far stronger than humans." His fleet was impressive. 3,000 warships, each one massive and covered in weapons. They had fought in 100 battles. They had never lost. The Vraxians were the strongest military force in the galaxy, and everyone knew it. "How many ships do the humans have?" Thokmar asked. "Approximately 2,000 in this sector, Commander," his tactical officer replied. Thokmar grinned, showing all his teeth. "We outnumber them. And we have experience. These humans have never fought a real war. This will be easy." He opened a communication channel to his fleet. "All ships prepare for battle. We will destroy the human fleet and then finish what we started at New Sol. We will burn Earth itself." The two fleets met in the Veil Nebula, a region of space filled with colorful gas clouds. It was beautiful. Soon it would be a graveyard. Admiral Minho Kang watched from Earth Command as the battle began. Around him, hundreds of tactical displays showed every ship, every movement, every detail. He stood with his hands behind his back, his face calm. "Remember," he said quietly to his officers, "minimum necessary force. We're not here to commit genocide. We're here to teach a lesson." In the Veil Nebula, the Vraxian fleet charged forward exactly as expected. They believed in overwhelming force. They believed in size and power and fear. The human fleet waited. Perfectly still, not moving at all, the Vraxians kept charging. They were close now, almost in weapons range. Their commander Thokmar was already celebrating. The humans were frozen with fear, he thought. They didn't know what to do. Then the human ships moved. They didn't just move fast. They moved in ways that shouldn't have been possible. Ships accelerated instantly in any direction. They turned without slowing down. They danced through space like water, like light, like thought itself. The Vraxian weapons fired, but they hit nothing. The human ships were never where the targeting system said they would be. Then the human ships began to fire back. Tactical Officer Yuna Park sat at her station aboard the Reckoning, her fingers moving across holographic controls. Around her, data flowed like rivers. Every Vraxian ship's position, every weapon, every weak point. The tactical computer was so advanced it could predict enemy movements before they happened. "Target their engines first," Captain Taman Park ordered. "Disable, don't destroy unless necessary." "Yes, sir," Yuna replied. Her fingers danced. Orders went out to the fleet in microseconds. Human weapons were precise. Terribly, beautifully precise. Beams of concentrated energy struck Vraxian ships exactly where they were weakest. Not the crew quarters. Not the command centers. The engines. The weapons systems. The shield generators. One by one, Vraxian ships went dark, floating dead in space but intact. Crews alive but helpless. Thokmar couldn't believe what he was seeing. In 10 minutes, he had lost 300 ships. Not destroyed. Disabled. The humans were taking his fleet apart like a mechanic disassembling an engine. "All ships," he roared. "Focus fire on single targets. Concentrate your firepower." The Vraxian fleet tried to regroup. 200 ships turned their weapons on one human destroyer. All their weapons fired at once. Enough firepower to crack a planet. The human ship's shields flickered but held. Then it returned fire. Single shots, perfectly placed. 20 Vraxian ships disabled in seconds. Pilot Jinwoo Song flew his fighter through the chaos, feeling more alive than he ever had. His ship responded to his thoughts, to his instincts. He could see the battlefield in his mind, could feel where every enemy was. A Vraxian fighter came at him, firing wildly. Jinwoo rolled, dodged, and put a single precise shot into its engine core. The enemy fighter tumbled away, alive but finished. "This is too easy," he said over the communication channel. "They're not even close to our level." "Stay focused," his squadron leader replied. "And remember, disable only. These are living beings, not targets." Around the battle, over 100 species watched through their long-range scanners. They watched the Vraxian Empire, the strongest military force in the galaxy, get dismantled like children fighting trained soldiers. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, the Vraxian fleet was gone, not destroyed, disabled, 3,000 ships floating dead in space, and the human fleet had taken 0 casualties. Not one ship lost, not one soldier killed. Thokmar sat in his darkened command ship staring at his view screen in shock. Around him, his bridge crew was silent. They couldn't believe it. The Vraxian Empire had just been defeated without the enemy even trying to kill them. A communication channel opened. Captain Taman Park's face appeared on the screen. "Commander Thokmar," Taman said calmly. "Your fleet is disabled but intact. Your crews are alive. We could have destroyed you completely. We chose not to." "Why?" Thokmar asked. His voice was small, confused. "Because we're not like you," Taman replied. "We don't kill for fun. We don't attack the helpless. We don't massacre civilians to make a point." His eyes hardened. "But make no mistake, this is what we are capable of when you break our peace. This is what we could have done at any time over the past 50 years. We chose not to. We hoped you would learn to respect us. You didn't." The transmission ended. The human fleet began to move away, leaving the disabled Vraxian ships floating in the nebula. Rescue vessels were already on their way from Vraxian space. The humans had even sent the coordinates to make rescue easier. On Earth, Admiral Minho Kang allowed himself a small smile. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2 was simpler. The human fleet divided into groups and visited every species that had attacked human colonies. They didn't fire weapons. They didn't make threats. They simply appeared in each system, overwhelming and unstoppable, and sent a message. Colonel Yunji Nam led a group of ships to the Korthax homeworld. The Korthax had raided 5 human colonies in the past year. When human ships appeared in orbit around their planet, the Korthax government panicked. Yunji's message was direct. "You attacked our colonies. You stole from us. You hurt our people. We are here for restitution. You will return everything you took, plus damages. You have 1 week to comply. And if we refuse?" the Korthax leader asked, trying to sound brave. Yunji smiled coldly. "Then we'll take it ourselves. But I promise you, you don't want that. We're being polite right now. Don't make us be something else." The Korthax agreed immediately. This scene repeated across the galaxy. Every species that had attacked humans received a visit from the human fleet. Some tried to fight. Those fights lasted seconds before their ships were disabled. Most species simply agreed to pay what they owed. The Vraxian Empire received special attention. Human ships blockaded their major worlds, not attacking, just waiting, preventing any ships from leaving or entering. Admiral Minho Kang sent a message to the Vraxian High Council. "You killed 40,000 of our people at New Sol. You did it deliberately. You did it as a lesson. Now you will learn what lessons really cost." The Vraxian Empire, which had controlled 20 star systems, was reduced to 5. The other 15 were given independence with human support if they needed protection. The Vraxians were ordered to pay restitution to the families of every human they had killed. The amount was so large it would take them 50 years to pay it all. "This is mercy," Minho told them. "Be grateful. We could have done so much worse." Bora Han, sister of the murdered farmer Doyen Han, was given a platform to speak at Earth's Global Broadcast Center. She stood before cameras that transmitted her words across the galaxy. "You laughed at us," she said. "You mocked us for being peaceful. You killed my brother and thousands of others because you thought we were weak. I want you to understand something. We weren't weak. We were civilized. We were choosing peace. But you made that choice impossible." Her voice grew stronger. "My brother died trying to protect his daughter. He died because he said no to creatures who thought they owned him. His death will not be forgotten. None of their deaths will be forgotten. And the galaxy will remember what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness." Pilot Jin Woo-song became famous throughout human space. Videos of his precision flying spread across networks. But when reporters asked him about the battle, he always said the same thing. "We didn't enjoy it. We're not proud that it came to this. We wanted peace. But when someone kills 40,000 civilians, peace becomes impossible. We did what we had to do, nothing more." On Colony World Kepler 442b, Commander So-min Choi finally got what she had asked for. Defense systems were installed openly now. Weapons were distributed. Training programs were established. But no one dared test them. Word had spread across the galaxy. Do not attack human colonies. Do not threaten human ships. The humans were no longer hiding what they were. And what they were was terrifying. In the Galactic Council chamber, the remaining members met to discuss what had happened. The chamber was very quiet, very respectful. We underestimated them, the council leader said. We treated them badly because we thought they were weak. We were wrong. We were very, very wrong. What do we do now? Someone asked. We learn, said one of the older members. 3 months had passed since the Battle of the Veil Nebula. The galaxy looked different now. It felt different. The balance of power had shifted in a way that no one had expected. Ambassador Hana Lee stood outside the Galactic Council chamber, looking at the building she had walked away from. Today she would enter it again, but everything had changed. A small delegation of council members waited at the entrance to greet her. They bowed. They actually bowed. 6 months ago they had laughed at her. Now they treated her like she was carrying a bomb that might go off at any moment. Ambassador Lee, the council leader said, its purple gas form swirling nervously. We are honored by your return. Please come in. Hana walked into the chamber. It was completely full. Every single species had sent representatives. Everyone wanted to see what the humans would say. Her podium had been moved. It was no longer in the back with the minor species. It had been moved to the front, next to the council leader's platform. A position of respect, of power. Hana looked around the chamber slowly. She saw Thokmar in his seat, but he looked different. Smaller somehow. His metal plates seemed less shiny. His eyes wouldn't meet hers. Members of the Galactic Council, Hana began. Her voice was clear and strong. Humanity is prepared to rejoin the Council. But things will be different now. The chamber was silent. Everyone listened. For 50 years we were polite. We were diplomatic. We followed every rule. We asked nicely when we should have demanded. We smiled when we should have fought back. We thought if we showed you respect, you would respect us in return. She paused, letting her words sink in. You mistook our respect for weakness. You attacked our colonies. You stole from us. You killed our people. You did this because you thought we couldn't stop you. The Battle of the Veil Nebula taught you different. Now we all know the truth. Hana's voice grew stronger. We return to the Council, but we return as equals. Not as victims. Not as species to be pushed around. We will be treated with respect or we will leave again. And this time, we won't come back peacefully. Several species began speaking at once, all of them agreeing, all of them promising respect. Hana raised her hand for silence. We don't want promises. We want action. The Council will establish a protection force to defend all member species equally. Humans will lead this force. Any species attacking Council members will face immediate response. No more filing complaints that go nowhere. No more words without action. The Council leader swirled anxiously. That is a significant change in how the Council operates. Yes, Hana said simply. It is. Do you accept these terms? There was a long pause. Then one by one, every species representative indicated agreement. They had seen what human ships could do. They had seen what happened to the Vraxian Empire. No one wanted to be next. Then humanity formally rejoins the Galactic Council, Hana said. Let us try again. This time we'll do it right. On New Sol, construction crews worked around the clock to rebuild. The colony that had been destroyed 3 months ago was rising from the ashes. But it was being built stronger now. Defense shields surrounded the major cities. Weapon platforms orbited overhead. No one would catch them unprepared again. Captain Taman Park walked through the construction sites, watching humanity rebuild. His ship, the Reckoning, was in orbit above. He didn't need to be down here, but he wanted to see it. He wanted to remember why they had fought. A young girl, maybe 10 years old, ran up to him. She held out a flower she had picked from one of the new gardens being planted. Are you a soldier? She asked. Yes, Taman replied. I am. Thank you for protecting us, the girl said. She gave him the flower and ran back to her mother. Taman held the flower carefully. This was why. This was what they fought for. So children could run through gardens without fear. His sister Yuna found him standing there looking at the flower. Brother, she said gently, the Admiral wants to speak with you. Taman nodded and followed her back to the shuttle. They flew up to the Reckoning, where Admiral Minho Kang was waiting via communication link from Earth. Captain Park, Minho said, I have new orders for you. We're scaling back military operations. The galaxy has learned its lesson. We don't need to keep the entire fleet active anymore. Scaling back, sir? Taman asked. We return to peace, Minho said. But the galaxy now knows we choose it. We're not forced into it. That makes all the difference, Taman understood. They had proven their point. Continuing to show off their military strength would make them bullies instead of protectors. Better to step back now while the lesson was still fresh in everyone's minds. What about the colonies? He asked. Will they be safe? Every colony now has proper defenses, and everyone knows what happens if they're attacked. I think they'll be very safe, Captain. On Earth, in the government building, President Kim Sarah met with her advisors to discuss the future. The room was relaxed now. The tension that had filled it for months was finally gone. The Vraxian Empire has made its first restitution payment, one advisor reported. 50 billion credits divided among the families of the victims. It's not enough, President Kim said quietly. No amount of money can bring back the dead, but it's something. It's acknowledgement. It's justice. General Ji-won Kim sat at the table looking tired but satisfied. Military reports show that attacks on human targets have dropped to 0. No incidents in 3 months. The galaxy has learned. What about our fleet? President Kim asked. Are we keeping it active? We're keeping about 20% at full readiness, Ji-won replied. The rest will return to reserve status. We'll maintain the lunar bases and shipyards, but quietly. No need to keep threatening everyone now that they understand. President Kim nodded. Good. We never wanted to be the galaxy's bully. We just wanted to be left alone to live in peace. If they'll finally give us that, we can put the weapons away. Dr. Hyunwoo Yang published a follow-up to his research paper. This one was titled From Prey to Predator, Humanity's Transformation and What It Teaches Us. In it he wrote, Humanity spent 50 years teaching the galaxy that we were weak. We were wrong to do this, but we did it with good intentions. We believed in peace so strongly that we were willing to endure pain to maintain it. The galaxy mistook this for inability rather than choice. When they pushed us too far, they discovered the truth. The most dangerous beings are not those who are always violent. The most dangerous beings are those who are capable of great violence but choose peace instead, because when you make them stop choosing peace, nothing holds them back. The paper became required reading in diplomatic schools across the galaxy. Bora Han became the official voice of the victims. She traveled to different worlds telling the stories of those who had died. She made sure they weren't forgotten. She also spoke about forgiveness and moving forward. I will never forget my brother, she told audiences. I will never forgive those who killed him. But I will not let hate consume me. Humanity showed the galaxy that we are strong. Now we must show them that we are also wise. We must show them that strength and mercy can exist together. Pilot Jin Woo-song returned to training duties, teaching new pilots how to fly the advanced fighters. He was patient with them, encouraging but firm. Remember, he told his students, these ships are weapons, powerful weapons. But the real weapon is your judgment, knowing when to fight and when not to fight, knowing how much force to use. Anyone can pull a trigger. A real soldier knows when not to pull it. Commander Soman Choi finally got a good night's sleep for the first time in years. Her colony was safe. Her people were protected. She could walk through the streets without constantly looking at the sky, waiting for ships to appear. One evening, she stood on her observation deck again, watching the sunset. It was beautiful. She could finally enjoy it. Colonel Yoonji Nam worked with Council forces to establish the new protection protocols. Species that had once attacked humans now asked for human help protecting themselves. It was strange, but she handled it professionally. We don't hold grudges, she told them. You attacked us when you thought we were weak. You were wrong and you paid for it. Now we move forward. We protect everyone equally. That's what justice means. The Galactic Council held its first session under the new rules. Ambassador Hana Lee sat in her new position at the front of the chamber. The council leader asked for any concerns or complaints. Several species reported minor disputes. Each one was addressed quickly and fairly. When a small species reported being threatened by a larger one, human ships were dispatched immediately. The threat disappeared before the ships even arrived. No one wanted to test the humans. Thokmar attended the session, but he didn't speak. The Vraxian Empire was a shadow of what it had been. They had lost most of their territory. They were paying enormous restitution. Their military was limited by treaty, but they were still alive. The humans could have destroyed them completely. Instead, they had taught them a lesson and moved on. After the session, Thokmar approached Hana Lee. He looked uncomfortable, but he forced himself to speak. "Ambassador," he said, "I want to say that the Vraxian people have learned from this. We were arrogant. We thought might meant right. We were wrong." Hana studied him for a moment. "Words are easy, Commander. Your people have 50 years to prove you've changed. Show us through actions." "We will," Thokmar said. "I promise you we will